In this video, I want to discuss how to modify a program to keep track of how long it takes. So in the textbook from Sedgwick, there is a bit of sample code given for something called stopwatch. So stopwatch is a class, and you can see the API is kind of over on the right-hand side. There's only two functions in it. So I have basically a constructor and then a accessor method that returns elapsed time. The code for this class is right below. So basically what this is a class that will time how long something takes. So we can just look at the code maybe for a second. You'll notice that we first of all have this instance variable called start. So what that's going to track is the moment in time that you start the stopwatch, right? So the idea of the stopwatch, right, you can even picture a physical one, is you press the button right on the front and it starts counting down. Later on, you're done with the task, you press it again, and it pauses. And it tells you the total time that elapsed between when you started it and when you stopped it. And so that start time, right, when this stopwatch is started, is kept in that local variable, right, that start variable. And you can look at the constructor, right? So this is the constructor over here. And the constructor, basically what happens is when we create a copy of stopwatch, we populate that start variable with the current system time, right? And based in milliseconds. One little caveat here, right, is that whenever you're using timing functions basically in any program language, in any OS, any library, you want to take a look at what the documentation says about error. A lot of times there are functions that there's this implied, like, oh, it could be, off or, accurate to 100 milliseconds or something like that, right, or 100 nanoseconds or something. There'll usually be some sort of caveat in the library to how accurate it is. A lot of times it's very hard to find accurate timer in your libraries. So be a little bit careful about that. For now, we'll just stick with the standard Java one, which will at least give us millisecond accuracy. All right, the second function we have in there is elapsed time. And all it's doing is it's getting, again, the system time, right? What is the time currently? And then it's taking the difference, right, between that and the start time for this timer. Once we have that, we'll basically divide by 1,000 to get us back to seconds. Because milliseconds aren't always too user-friendly, right? We have a little bit of a hard time trying to visualize what, or intuitive, we have a hard time trying to intuit, right, what exactly a millisecond is like. So overall, it's a pretty simple class. Again, it's like we start it takes the current time, then later we query it, and we get back in seconds how long it's taken to do something. Now, the way this will look, right, in code is something like this. At some point, right, we'll create a stopwatch. That basically starts it up, right, records the start time, and then we'll have some code that does something. So stuff will happen, hopefully it's a decent amount of code. We don't want to do something like just put an assignment in there, right, because an assignment will take basically no time, and if it returns, 0 milliseconds have elapsed, it's not very useful, right? So there should be some significant amount of work that happens there, right, that do something common I've left. Then afterwards, once we finish all that stuff, then we can do a .elapsed time on the timer object we created earlier, and that'll return how much time has elapsed in seconds. So overall, it's pretty easy to use. In the next video, we'll show how to integrate this with the 3-sum program in order to time it.